welcome back to my channel. My name is Rain. If you don't know, I post book content. Today's video, we're going to be reading the shortest books on my physical TBR. Now, I recently went and put all the books on my physical TBR into my Goodreads just to see how many I had, and the number was astronomical. It was way too high. I didn't even know I owned that many books, let alone own that many books that were unread. I don't even want to say the number. In order to kind of dwindle that down, I thought what better way than picking up some of the shorter books on the TBR. That way I can kind of knock out some of these books that are on my physical TBR and also feel accomplished. But also, yeah, I cannot be buying more books until we dwindle that number down. So what better way than trying to read some of the shorter books on my TBR. I will show you the lineup for today. The first book we have is The Deal of a Lifetime by Fredrik Backman. It's about 170 pages long. The second one is The 5 People You Meet in Heaven by Mitch Albom. I read Tuesdays with Morrie by Mitch Albom. Absolutely loved it. That was one of the top 3 books of last year for me. I loved his writing style. I loved the story that he was telling and how he portrayed that story. Everything about it I absolutely loved. I took away so much from it, and it's such a small short book, but I took so much from it. So last year for my wedding anniversary with my husband, he actually went to the bookstore for part of it, and I bought him a book, which I think was Dungeon Crawler Carl, because I'd heard amazing things about it, and he bought me this book. So I'm finally picking it up. It's under a year on my physical TBR, so I'm pretty proud of that. This one is telling the story about a man named Eddie. The story starts off like on the first page. It says that Eddie dies, and then we're kind of leading up to the minutes before he does die. And then I think he meets 5 people in heaven. I feel like this one could also be read in 1 or 2 sittings. He's just become one of my favorite authors, and his writing style is just so unique. So I'm interested to see if I end up really loving this one too, or if Tuesdays with Morrie was like a one-hit wonder for me. But I do have this, and I have his newest release twice, so I'm excited to read that one too. And if I can get through this one and The Deal of a Lifetime, maybe we'll add that one and we'll see. But these are the 2 books that I'm planning on reading in this video that I'm really excited about, and I'm excited to share my thoughts about them. And I'm also doing a 24-hour readathon this weekend, so I'm excited for that. I'm going to be trying to do 24 hours straight again like I did once last year. That didn't go well. I failed that challenge. I fell asleep, and I was like, it is what it is. But I have a better plan this time around, which I'll explain in that video. But I'm doing that this weekend, so I do want to try to get these finished today and tomorrow morning, and then yeah, we'll see where the day takes us. As always, grab your favorite drink, grab a book, and come hang out and read with me. Let's get into reading. 5 people you meet in heaven. We're following Eddie. We're kind of leading up to his death, the day that he dies, minute by minute, hour by hour. He dies and essentially he goes to heaven and he meets 5 different people in heaven. Each person he meets is connected to him in some way or another, even if he can't remember who they were. They were a big part of his story and the reason why he was still where he was and how he got to where he was. So we get these different stories from different moments in his life. So it's a lot of past and present timeline as well. We're getting bits of his life and his past and things that made him and shaped him. I feel like Mitch Albom is really good at giving us these good small snippets of people's lives but making us feel so much about them. He's someone with his writing isn't very flowery or lyrical or anything like that. Like he's very to the point. And I think that in most books I would want the author to be a little bit more descriptive, but I feel like with his writing, the way that he does it is so unique where he can just tell me it's something straight up without any sort of description or anything going further than just saying it as it is. And I feel so much from that. Like it's such a unique way that he writes and that he evokes feeling from the reader. It's such a big conversation on your life and the consequences of your choices and how every little thing does lead up to the bigger picture of what makes your path and your journey in your life. His writing really makes you think about things in life and makes you think about your life, and that's what I really like about it, is that I'm reflecting constantly on my life and things that I do and like in comparison to the characters in the book. I find it so fascinating. It just reminds me of why I like his writing style and why he is one of my favorite authors. It just tells a story in such a unique way. So if you're someone who likes straight to the point, just getting into the story and being told the story and having it move at a good pace, this would be probably a good book for you to read. There is a bit of a mystery element to this as well. Like every person he meets, some of them he doesn't know well and he's like, why am I here? Why am I talking to you? What's going on? But I'm really enjoying it. It's so fast paced. With the past timeline, we're following Eddie throughout his different birthdays. So I think in one birthday he's 7, another birthday he's 12, and those moments connect to the present moments of him in heaven and who he's talking to and who he's meeting and who the people are that have had this overall impact on his life. And so we're getting moments of his past throughout his birthdays and getting to see that lens of his childhood and how he grew up to be who he was and where he was at the surface. And at the beginning of the story, you see Eddie as just this old man. He works in an amusement park and that's just kind of who he is, but he's got so much more to him. He's such a nuanced character and he's gone through a lot in his life that it just makes you think like you don't always know what someone went through and you don't always know what someone's going through or the journey that they had to get to where they are, whether it be good or bad. And I feel like we're getting to see that with him. Like we're seeing parental conflict between parent and child. We're seeing relationship issues. We're seeing how certain situations in his life have led to making decisions that he might or might not be happy with. But we're seeing the different relationships between siblings as well, between him and his brother. And it's just giving us like a very good in-depth overall complex family dynamic that we're getting more insight on as we're going through. And I feel like there's already been so much said in 100 pages. He's just one of those writers where he really knows what he's doing and he does it really well and he makes you feel so much from so little. And I think that that is so important. It just reminds me of why I loved Tuesdays with Morrie, and I honestly think he's just going to keep moving up on my favorite author list just because, I don't know, his writing style is just so unique and amazing. I can already feel this being like a 4 or 5 star book right now. We'll see how it goes. It's been a minute since I finished these books. I read them almost a month ago and I just haven't had time to sit down and chat about them and talk about them. I read these books before and as I was doing my 24-hour readathon, so it's been a little bit. I do want to talk about them because I think these were books that they really surprised me in a good way, and I just feel like I need to share my thoughts about them and all of that. In this video, I read Deal of a Lifetime and Other Stories by Fredrik Backman. This book really did surprise me. I didn't realize like we were following 3 short stories throughout this book, so we're getting 3 different narratives throughout the book, but it is a collection of 3 short stories and each story is so uniquely different. But it's funny, both the books I read in this video, there's a lot of themes about death and the afterlife, kind of discovering things about yourself while you're present and after you're gone. And just, yeah, it was very interesting that I somehow paired these books together. But my whole thought process with this video is just reading some of the shortest books on my TBR. Like, it's crazy how similar they were in themes and things like that, but also how different the stories were. So in The Deal of a Lifetime and Other Stories, we're following a collection of 3 stories. In the first story, we're following a very successful businessman who starts reflecting on the cost of his success when he meets this young girl who's very ill. She makes him kind of see things in a different way. That's kind of who we're following in the first story. I feel like this is a book you should definitely go into knowing like the least amount of information so you can get the most out of it. That's kind of what we're following in the first story. It's this man who meets a young girl in the hospital and she's very ill and she's going to be passing away, and she has so much joy still in her young life even though she is going to pass away. Like, she's got this will to live and this will to just be present in the moment, and for someone so young and so little to like understand the reality of the situation she's in and still kind of just be there and be present, it just really makes you think about your life and just think about, okay, I need to be more appreciative of certain things because there's people who are living realities like the one that this little girl was living. And I think she really helped this man understand and see that there's more value in life and there's more to be happy about than you think. And health is so important. Health has always been something that's so important, but like this just, it was a very interesting interaction and story to see how her last moments of her life really impacted this man and the way that he was thinking moving forward. And then in the second story, we're following this elderly man who's reflecting on his life and sharing memories and things like that with his son and his grandson. I think he has dementia in the story, and so he's slowly kind of losing his mind and forgetting things and not able to remember certain things. He's losing his memory, so a lot of things that he's telling his son, he thinks he's already told his grandson, and like vice versa, and he thinks that his grandson is his son when he's younger, but he's slowly, like you can tell, he's slowly losing his memories. He's slowly losing that part of you that makes you a person in society. Like he's preparing to say goodbye to everyone he knows and he loves by sharing these stories about himself. And it's so interesting to see the different ways that he is now versus who he was before with his son. Like we're so different and didn't share similar interests. It kind of forced him to confront that and deal with that while the dad is in the position that he's in now. And the grandpa and the grandson, they have so much in common. As he's slowly starting to lose his memories and all of that, he's starting to think his grandson is his son. So they're connecting on different things and he's telling them different stories. But it's just like a really overly sad story in seeing that this person who once was there and had all these memories and that you shared memories with is slowly losing those memories and forgetting who you are as a person. Like it's such a sad reality that a lot of people face. And it's such a heartbreaking story to see that slow deterioration of the mind and memories. And it just makes you feel a lot of things for the characters and everyone going through it. And the grandson is not that old. He's still young and he's having to go through this and lose those memories with someone who's such an integral part of his life and so important in his life. It was just a very heartbreaking story, and it definitely made me kind of just sit and pause for a little bit after reading. These three stories, they're very quick, they're very short. It's a short book, like it's not very long. The text is very big, but they have so much meaning and impact in each of the stories that it's definitely something that I would recommend if you're looking for a short story, but something where you're going to get a lot of meaning and depth out of it. And then our third and final story, this one might have been the one that surprised me the most. It was the shortest story out of the three, but we are following a boy who is battling depression and he slowly discovers the courage to kind of imagine the person that he could be. I can't remember the name of the story. What was it called? Because it was so intriguing. Okay, so this third one's called Sebastian and the Troll. So essentially like he's trapped inside of his mind and he doesn't know why he feels the way that he feels, but he meets this troll in his mind who's helping him to kind of see and understand that life is worth living, that all the bad around you and everything that's trying to drag you down is just within the walls of your mind and that there's so much more outside of it. They use this metaphor and this analogy of a bottle, and he's trapped inside of this bottle and there's so much more outside of the bottle. And if you slowly start tapping and cracking the bottle, like you'll eventually see the other side of it. It will take some effort and time kind of get to that point, but this troll in his mind helps him kind of just see the other side of things and see, okay, life is more than just what I think it is. It's more than just what's trapped inside of my mind. And it's got such an important message to it, and it genuinely shocked me. Like I was not expecting this book to be as heavy as it was, to have all the themes that it had and to just have the impact that it had. And just seeing something like depression in the light that it was shown in the third story really made me see things differently for people who are going through things like this. And honestly, like this story, like I said, it was just so impactful. I wish that it was a little bit longer. Like I wish each story we got a little bit more. Like even the third story, I was hoping that we got more. Like obviously when you get connected to characters, especially so quickly with such short stories, you want to know how they're doing and you want to see how they're doing and you want that side of them after the story happens and what's going on in people's lives and stuff. I think I ended up at the time giving this like a 4 out of 5 stars, but now thinking of it, there was nothing about this that I would change, so it could be a 5-star. At the time I was thinking 4 stars, so I'll like honor that, but I do like there's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing that I would change about it, so it could easily be a 5-star now that I'm thinking about it. But I enjoyed this book so much. I think that there's not one book of his that I haven't enjoyed immensely, so I would recommend this book. And yeah, I liked it. The second book I read was The 5 People You Meet in Heaven by Mitch Albom. Now when I read Tuesdays with Maury last year, that became one of my top 3 books of last year. So incredible. I recently went through some of the quotes in that book and was just going through it, and I was like, oh my god, this is why I love this book so much. Like it had so much meaning to it. And I think after reading this, I can tell there's a certain pattern with Mitch Albom's writing, and he's writing these short stories under 200 pages, but they are so meaningful, so impactful. They have so much depth to it. The fact that he's able to take such a short story, such a short amount of time, and create so much meaning and impact out of that is absolutely truly incredible and phenomenal, and something that I didn't think that I could get out of such a short story and such a short book. But I absolutely loved everything about this. In this book, we're following Eddie, who tragically passes away on his 83rd birthday. It happens right off the bat. It's not a spoiler. It's like on the first page. And in that first couple chapters, you're kind of just getting the timelines from the hours to the minutes leading up to his death and how he got to that point. And then after he dies, he goes to this afterlife where he gets to meet 5 different people in heaven who all had some sort of impact on his life. The interesting thing about this storyline is that he doesn't know all the people that he's meeting, and he's like, how? I don't even know who you are. Like, how did you impact my life when we've never crossed paths? And each each person has like such an impact on his story, even in one way or another. And so we get flashbacks of his past through these people at that point, how they were impacted in the story. Everything connects together so well. It's incredible how he does that in such a short amount of time. But we're getting the past and present timelines throughout this through the people he's meeting in heaven. He thought his life didn't really have meaning. He thought that he didn't really do much in his life. And then through these people that he meets in heaven, he realizes there was more to his life than he thought, and he did have more of an impact, whether it be good or bad in the world. He was able to see more meaning through his life. It kind of answers the overall question of like, why am I here? Why was I here? Just a lot to it. Like I said, so much depth that came out of this book. This was easily 4.5 out of 5 star. Like his books are so incredible. Honestly, like thinking back on this one too, there's nothing I would change either. So easily could be a 5 star now that I've sat on it. In the end, he kind of just discovers that his life has more meaning than he thought that it did. And that was something that he was struggling with in his daily life. He thought he just fell into a pattern because it's what he thought he had to do, which I feel like some of us could, you know, it's something that we could relate to. It was interesting to see how that kind of ended off. And I do know that it's another, like there is another book that comes after this. So I'm probably gonna go pick that one up soon and just see how that continues, or if it's a completely different story, if we're still following Eddie, because the way that this one left off, I could see how that one is gonna go. With both these books, the heavy themes of death and the afterlife, just life and living and all of that. So interesting that I paired these two books together, that they just like kind of merged together with themes so seamlessly. But absolutely love this book. There's no doubt in my mind, and Mitch Albom is a favorite author of mine. And I feel like Mitch Albom and Fredrik Backman have similarities in terms of creating so much depth and meaning out of the stories that they write. But I do think that I want to continue this story as well, like in the second book. Through and through, absolutely loved both of these books. Thought they were absolutely incredible, and I would highly recommend both of them. That's all I have for you today. If you stayed this long, thank you so much for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe to keep up with my content, and I hope to see you in the next one.